My name is Dorothy Richardson. I'm 65 years old. I had just retired when my son-in-law called and said, "I'm dropping off my 3 kids with you. You don't do anything anymore. You can watch them while I travel." I smiled, and I hung up the phone. I decided right then and there to teach him a lesson he would never forget. When he came back from his trip, he couldn't believe what he saw. The silence in that moment, the absolute shock on his face. That was just the end of a story that began much, much earlier. But let me tell you from the beginning. Because what happened when Derek returned? When my grandchildren stood their ground? When my daughter finally found her voice? That was merely the culmination of years of pain, manipulation, and a grandmother's quiet rage that had been building like a volcano ready to erupt. If you want to see how a determined grandmother can change everything, how one phone call can be the catalyst for justice, hit that like button right now, subscribe to this channel, and comment below where you're watching from. Because believe me, this is just the beginning of a story that will make you question everything you thought you knew about family, respect, and what it means to truly fight for the people you love. My name is Dorothy Richardson, and for 40 years, I worked as an accountant at one of the most prestigious firms in Seattle. 40 years of precision, of making sure every number added up, of never letting a single discrepancy slide. People knew me as the woman who could find a missing penny in $1 million budget. I was meticulous, fair, and I never, ever backed down from a challenge when I knew I was right. That's who I am. That's who I've always been. I'm 65 years old, and I've been a widow for 8 years now. My husband, Thomas, died of cancer after a brutal 2-year battle that drained our savings but never drained our love. He was my rock, my partner, the man who supported every dream I ever had. When he died, a part of me died with him. But I kept going because that's what you do. You keep going for the people who need you. I retired 3 months ago. 3 months of finally being able to breathe, to wake up without an alarm, to plan trips I'd been dreaming about for decades. I had my savings, my pension, my little house in the suburbs that Thomas and I bought 30 years ago. I was ready to live, really live, travel, volunteer, maybe take up painting again like I did in college. I had earned this time. Every single day of those 40 years, I had earned this. And then the phone rang. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because I was sitting at my kitchen table looking through brochures for a trip to Scotland. Scotland. Thomas and I had always talked about going there, tracing his family roots, walking through the Highlands. I was finally going to do it for both of us. The phone rang, and I saw Derek's name on the screen. My son-in-law. I should have known right then that something was wrong because Derek never called me. Never. In 12 years of being married to my daughter, he had never once picked up the phone to call me just to chat, just to see how I was doing. Every conversation we'd ever had was because my daughter Jennifer handed him the phone, or because he needed something. I answered. "Hello, Derek." No greeting. No, "Hi, Dorothy, how are you?" Nothing. Just straight into it. "I'm dropping off my 3 kids with you tomorrow morning. I have a business trip to Europe. Big opportunity. Can't miss it. You don't do anything anymore, so you can watch them while I travel. I'll be gone for 3 weeks. I sat there, frozen. The brochure for Scotland slipped from my hands and fluttered to the floor. Did this man just tell me what I was going to do? Did he just say I don't do anything anymore? I felt my blood pressure rising. 40 years as an accountant had taught me to stay calm under pressure, to never show my hand too early. So I took a breath, and I smiled, even though he couldn't see me. 3 weeks, I said, keeping my voice light. That's quite a long time, Derek. Have you discussed this with Jennifer? Jennifer knows. She's fine with it. Someone has to watch the kids, and you've got nothing but time now. I'll drop them off at 6 in the morning. Make sure you're awake. And then he hung up. He actually hung up on me. I sat there staring at my phone, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pure, Unadulterated rage. Not the kind that makes you scream and throw things. No, the cold kind. The calculated kind. The kind that makes you dangerous. You don't do anything anymore. Those words echoed in my head. I don't do anything? I raised a daughter by myself after Thomas died, working full-time while making sure she had everything she needed. I don't do anything? I spent 40 years building a career, earning respect, making sure every client trusted me with their most important financial decisions. And now, because I retired, because I finally decided to live for myself, I don't do anything? This man, this entitled, manipulative man who had been slowly destroying my daughter for 12 years, thought he could just command me like I was his servant. I picked up my phone and called Jennifer, my daughter. My beautiful, exhausted, beaten-down daughter who worked 60-hour weeks as an emergency room nurse while her husband played entrepreneur with her money. "Mom?" she answered, and I could hear the exhaustion in her voice even through the phone. "Jennifer, honey, Derek just called me. He said he's dropping the kids off tomorrow for 3 weeks." There was a long pause. Too long. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I told Derek to ask you properly, to see if you were available. He said you'd offered. He said you were excited to have them." My hand tightened around the phone. He'd lied. He'd lied to both of us. "Sweetheart, I never offered. And Derek didn't ask. He told me I was watching them because I don't do anything anymore." I heard Jennifer's sharp intake of breath.
"He said what?"
"Don't worry about it right now, honey. I know you're at work. I know you're overwhelmed. Just bring the kids over tomorrow morning. We'll figure this out. But Jennifer, we need to talk. Really talk. Soon. Mom, okay. I love you. I love you too, baby." I hung up, and I sat there in the silence of my kitchen. The Scotland brochures were still scattered on the floor. My retirement dreams were literally at my feet, and I realized something in that moment. Derek had underestimated me. He had looked at me, a 5-year-old retired woman, and thought I was weak, thought I was disposable, thought I was just free labor. He had no idea what he'd just unleashed. I picked up the phone again and called my friend Patricia. Patricia and I had worked together for 20 years before she left accounting to become a family lawyer. She owed me more favors than I could count. "Patricia, it's Dorothy. I need your help, and I need you to clear your schedule for the next month." That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. My mind was racing with everything I needed to do, everything I needed to prepare. Because if Derek thought he was going to use me and discard me, if he thought he could treat my daughter and grandchildren like property, he was about to learn the hardest lesson of his life. I spent the entire night setting up my plan. I went to the electronics store and bought a nanny cam, one of those ones that looks like a regular alarm clock, completely legal in my own home. I needed to document everything. I reorganized the guest bedroom where the kids would sleep. I went through my pantry and made a shopping list for healthy food because I just knew, that those children weren't being fed properly. At 6 in the morning, right on schedule, there was a knock on my door. Not a ring of the doorbell. A knock. Impatient, demanding. I opened the door, and there was Derek. He was wearing expensive clothes, a designer watch, cologne that probably cost more than my monthly electric bill. Behind him were my 3 grandchildren. Lily, who's 11, Mason, who's 9, and Emma, who's 6. They looked confused, disheveled, like they'd been woken up and dragged here without any preparation. Derek had 3 small suitcases at his feet. 3 weeks, 3 children, and 3 small suitcases. "Here they are," he said, not even looking at me. He was on his phone, scrolling through something. "Don't let them bother you. Just keep them alive. I'll be back in 3 weeks." He turned to the kids. "Be good. Listen to your grandmother. No hug, no kiss, no reassurance that he loved them or would miss them. Just a dismissive wave as he walked back to his car. And that car, a brand new Tesla. Gleaming black, probably $70,000 at least. My daughter drives a 10-year-old Honda because they can't afford anything better. but Derek has a Tesla. I watched him drive away, and then I looked down at my grandchildren. 3 scared, confused little faces staring up at me. "Come inside, my loves," I said, softening my voice. "Let's get you some breakfast." Lily, my oldest granddaughter, looked at me with these tired eyes. "Dad said you were excited to have us, but you don't look excited." My heart broke. "Oh, sweetheart, I am always happy to see you. Always. What I'm not happy about is the way your father did this, but that's not your fault. None of this is your fault. Come on, let's get you fed." I brought them into the kitchen and started making pancakes from scratch. Real pancakes, not the frozen kind. As I cooked, I asked them questions. When was the last time they'd had a home-cooked meal? Lily couldn't remember. Mason said they mostly ate takeout. Emma asked if she could have cereal because Daddy says pancakes are too much work. Too much work. Making breakfast for your children is too much work. I served them pancakes with fresh fruit and real maple syrup, and I watched these 3 children eat like they were starving. They were so polite, so careful, saying please and thank you for everything. But they were distant. They barely knew me. And why would they? Derek had spent years making sure I was kept at arm's length. After breakfast, I showed them their rooms. I'd set up the guest bedroom with 2 twin beds for the girls, and Mason would sleep on the pull-out couch in my office. It wasn't perfect, but it was clean, safe, and filled with love. "Okay, kids," I said. "Here's how this is going to work. I know your dad said I'd just watch you, but we're going to do more than that. We're going to have fun. We're going to learn. We're going to spend real time together. But first, I need to know something. Are you okay?" They all looked at each other. That silent communication that kids have. Finally, Lily spoke. "We're fine, Grandma. We're always fine." But her voice cracked on that last word. And I knew they weren't fine. They hadn't been fine for a long time. "Well," I said, pulling them all into a hug, "you're safe here, and we're going to make these 3 weeks count." What I didn't tell them was that I'd already started digging. While they were unpacking, I was on my laptop in the kitchen, logged into Derek's social media accounts. He wasn't smart enough to make them private. And what I found made my blood run cold. Derek wasn't in Europe. He wasn't even headed to Europe. His Instagram story from that very morning showed him at SeaTac Airport, sure. But the location tag? Las Vegas, Nevada. Not London. Not Paris. Las Vegas. And he wasn't alone. There was a woman in the photo, tagged as Becca. She was young, mid-20s maybe, wearing revealing clothes and hanging all over Derek. The caption read, "3 weeks of freedom. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. 3 weeks of freedom." Like his children were a prison sentence. I took screenshots of everything. Every photo, every comment, every location tag. Patricia had taught me well. Documentation is everything. That first day with the kids was eye-opening in the worst way. Mason was glued to his iPad, barely speaking. When I asked him about school, about friends, about anything, he gave one-word answers. Lily tried to be helpful, but she was anxious, constantly asking if she was doing things right, if I was upset with her. Emma, my baby granddaughter, kept asking when Daddy was coming back. "Emma, sweetheart," I said as I tucked her in that night. "Why do you keep asking about Daddy?" She looked at me with these big eyes. "Because sometimes Daddy goes away and doesn't come back for a long time. And Mommy cries." I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. "How many times has Daddy done that?" She counted on her little fingers. "Lots of times. Mason says 6 times since my birthday. 6 times. Derek had abandoned his family 6 times in 6 months, and I didn't know. Jennifer hadn't told me. Why? Because she was protecting him? Because she was ashamed? Because she thought it was normal? After the kids were asleep, I called Jennifer at the hospital. She was on her break. "Mom, how are they?" "They're fine, honey. They're safe. But we need to talk. When did Derek tell you he was going to Europe? There was a long pause. Last week. He said it was a big opportunity, some cryptocurrency conference. He said he could make connections that would finally make us financially stable. Jennifer. I kept my voice calm. Derek is not in Europe. He's in Las Vegas, with a woman named Becca. And according to Emma, this isn't the first time he's left you all. Silence. Complete silence. Then I heard my daughter crying. I know, Mom. I know. Those 3 words broke me. She knew. My strong, intelligent, capable daughter knew her husband was cheating, knew he was abandoning them, and she felt powerless to stop it. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was ashamed. Because I thought I could fix it. Because he told me no one would believe me. That everyone thinks he's such a great guy. That I was just a paranoid, overworked nurse who didn't appreciate him. Gaslighting. Classic, textbook gaslighting. Jennifer, listen to me. You did nothing wrong. Do you hear me? Nothing. But we're going to fix this. Together. I need you to trust me. What are you going to do? I'm going to protect you and those children. And I'm going to make sure Derek never treats any of you like this again. Over the next few days, I started piecing together the full picture, and it was so much worse than I'd imagined. With Jennifer's permission, I accessed their family finances. As an accountant, I knew exactly what to look for. And what I found was criminal. Derek had opened 3 credit cards in Jennifer's name without her knowledge. $32,000 in debt. All of it spent on trips, gambling, expensive clothes, dinners at restaurants Jennifer had never been to. He'd been living a double life, and he'd been financing it with my daughter's identity. But it got worse. I found loan applications, mortgage refinance papers, all with Jennifer's forged signature. He'd been trying to take out a second mortgage on their house, the house my daughter was paying for with her nursing salary. I documented everything. Every statement, every forged signature, every fraudulent transaction. Patricia met me for coffee on day 4, and I showed her everything. Dorothy, she said, her face grave. This isn't just a bad marriage. This is financial fraud, identity theft. We're talking criminal charges here. Good, I said. And I meant it. File for emergency custody on behalf of Jennifer. Get a restraining order ready. And let's make sure we have everything airtight before he gets back. Meanwhile, something beautiful was happening with my grandchildren. Away from Derek's toxicity, away from the chaos of their normal life, they were starting to bloom. On day 3, I taught them how to make cookies from scratch. My grandmother's recipe, the one I'd made with Jennifer when she was little. Emma got flour all over her face and laughed, really laughed, for the first time since she'd arrived. Mason put down his iPad and helped measure ingredients. Lily opened up about school, about how she was struggling in math but was too afraid to ask for help because Derek said asking for help was weak. Asking for help isn't weak, I told her as we stirred the cookie dough. Asking for help is brave. It means you're smart enough to know you don't have all the answers. And that's okay. She looked at me, really looked at me, and then she burst into tears. I held her while she cried, this 11-year-old girl who'd been holding everything inside for so long. I'm scared, Grandma, she whispered. I'm scared all the time. Scared that Dad will leave and not come back. Scared that Mom will get too tired and something bad will happen. Scared that it's our fault they're always fighting. Oh, my sweet girl. None of this is your fault. None of it. Your parents' problems are not your responsibility. Do you hear me? She nodded against my shoulder, and I held her tighter. That night, after the kids were in bed, Lily came to my room. She was holding something, clutching it to her chest. Grandma, I need to tell you something. Something I've never told anyone. We sat on my bed, and she showed me what she was holding. A notebook. Inside were dates, times, descriptions. She'd been documenting Derek's disappearances, his lies, everything. I started writing it down because I thought I was going crazy, she said. Dad would say he was at work, but then I'd see him on Instagram at a bar. He'd say he was at a business meeting, but his phone would ring and he'd leave for hours. I thought maybe if I wrote it down, I could prove I wasn't imagining things. This 11-year-old child had been keeping records because her own reality was being denied. Lily, you are so brave, so incredibly brave. Can I borrow this? I promise I'll keep it safe. She handed it to me. Are you going to help Mom leave him? Yes, I said, because there was no point in lying. Yes, I am. Good, she said. Because I love my dad, but I don't like him very much. On day 7, Derek posted another Instagram story. He was at a casino, surrounded by people, drinks in hand. The caption, "Living my best life." In the background, you could clearly see Becca hanging on his arm. I showed it to Patricia. She showed it to her investigator. We were building an airtight case. But more importantly, I was building something with my grandchildren. Every morning, we had breakfast together. Real breakfast, not cereal grabbed on the way out the door. We talked about their dreams, their fears, what they wanted to be when they grew up. Mason wanted to be an artist. He'd been hiding his drawings because Derek said art was a waste of time. I bought him a proper sketchbook and colored pencils, and he drew for hours. Emma wanted to be a veterinarian. She loved animals, but they'd never been allowed to have pets because Derek said they were too much work. I took them to a local animal shelter to volunteer, and watching Emma's face light up as she petted those cats and dogs, it was worth everything. Lily wanted to be a lawyer, so I can help people who can't help themselves, she said. This child had been through so much, and she wanted to use it to make the world better. I enrolled them in activities. Mason took an art class at the community center. Emma joined a kids' volunteer program at the animal shelter. Lily started tutoring younger kids in reading at the library. They needed structure, purpose, to feel valued, and every night, we cooked dinner together. I taught them recipes from my childhood, from my mother and grandmother. We made pot roast, homemade mac and cheese, stir-fry, tacos from scratch. Food made with love, eaten together at a table with real conversation. On day 10, Mason came to me while I was gardening. Grandma, I don't miss home. I stopped digging and looked at him. What do you mean, sweetheart? I don't miss our house. I don't miss Dad. Is that bad? Does that make me a bad son? I pulled off my gardening gloves and sat on the grass, patting the spot next to me. He sat down. Mason, listen to me. You are not a bad son. You're a child who deserves to feel safe and loved and valued. If you don't miss a place or person who made you feel unsafe, that's not bad. That's your heart protecting you. But he's my dad. Yes, he is. And it's okay to love him and be disappointed in him at the same time. Those feelings can exist together. He leaned against me, this 9-year-old boy who'd been holding in so much pain. I like it here, Grandma. Can we stay forever? We'll see, buddy. We'll see. On day 14, exactly 2 weeks in, Jennifer came over after her shift at the hospital. She looked different. Tired, yes, but there was something else in her eyes. Determination. She sat at my kitchen table while the kids played in the backyard, and she put her head in her hands. I can't do this anymore, Mom. I can't keep pretending everything is fine. I can't keep making excuses for him. I've been living in survival mode for so long that I forgot what it was like to actually live. I sat next to her and took her hand. Then don't. Don't pretend anymore. We have everything we need. Patricia has filed for emergency custody. We have the financial records, the proof of fraud, the evidence of abandonment. You just need to say the word. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. I'm scared. I know, baby. But you're not alone. Not anymore. He's going to fight. He's going to try to turn everyone against me. His mother already thinks I'm a terrible wife. Let him fight. We have the truth. And the truth always wins in the end. She took a shaky breath. Okay. Do it. File for divorce. Patricia filed the papers that afternoon. emergency custody petition, citing abandonment, financial fraud, and evidence of an extramarital affair. We also filed a police report for the identity theft and forged signatures. This wasn't just a divorce. This was a criminal case. Derek had no idea what was waiting for him when he got back. The kids continued to transform. By day 17, they were different children. Emma laughed freely. Mason showed me his artwork without hesitation. Lily talked about her feelings instead of bottling them up. They did their homework without being asked. They helped with chores because they wanted to contribute. They hugged me goodnight and told me they loved me. One evening, we were all cooking dinner together, making homemade pizza. Emma was spreading sauce, Mason was arranging toppings, and Lily was helping me with the dough. The kitchen was messy, loud, full of laughter. "This is what family is supposed to feel like," Lily said quietly. I stopped kneading the dough and looked at her. "What do you mean?" "This. All of us together, working on something, laughing, at home. We all just hide in our rooms. Dad's always on his phone or gone. Mom's always working or sleeping. We never do things together." "Well," I said, my voice thick with emotion, "we're doing things together now, and we're going to keep doing them." On day 18, Derek posted a photo from the Las Vegas sign. "Last few days of paradise." The comments were full of people congratulating him, asking about his business trip, telling him he deserved a break. If only they knew. I showed the post to Jennifer. She stared at it for a long time. "I've been such a fool," she said. "No. You've been a woman trying to save her marriage, trying to keep her family together. That doesn't make you a fool. That makes you human." I gave him everything, Mom. Everything. I worked myself to exhaustion. I took on extra shifts to pay for his business ventures. I believed him when he said things would get better. And the whole time, he was doing this. "I know, sweetheart. But you're done giving. Now it's time for you to take back your life." Day 20. Derek would be back in one day. Patricia had everything ready. The sheriff's deputy was scheduled to serve him the papers as soon as he walked through my door. We'd coordinated everything. That night, I sat down with the kids. "I need to talk to you all about something important. Tomorrow, your dad comes back, and things are going to change." They looked at me with wide eyes. "Your mom and we've been working on making sure you're safe and taken care of. That means there are going to be some big changes in your family. Your parents are getting divorced." Lily nodded slowly. "We kinda knew. Is it because of Dad?" "It's because your parents aren't good for each other anymore. And sometimes, when people aren't good for each other, the bravest thing they can do is admit it and move forward separately." "Are we going to live with you?" Emma asked, hopefully. "For now, yes. Your mom is going to stay here too. This house is going to be pretty full, but we'll make it work." Mason looked worried. "What about Dad? Where will he go?" "Your dad will have his own place. And you'll still see him, but it will be different. There will be rules to make sure everyone stays safe." "I don't want to see him," Lily said quietly. "Is that okay?" "Yes, sweetheart. Whatever you're feeling is okay. We'll figure it out together." That night, I couldn't sleep. Tomorrow, everything would come to a head. Tomorrow, Derek would face the consequences of his actions. And I was ready. God, I was so ready. Day 21. The day Derek returned. I woke up at 5 in the morning, my heart pounding. Patricia was coming at 10. The sheriff's deputy at 11. Derek said he'd be there by noon. I made breakfast for the kids, though none of us had much appetite. Jennifer had taken the day off work and arrived at 8. She looked terrified. "I don't know if I can face him," she said. "You don't have to," I told her. "That's why we have Patricia and the deputy. You just need to be present. Let the law handle the rest." At 11:30, we heard a car pull up. My heart nearly stopped. It was early. He was early. I looked out the window. There was Derek's Tesla, freshly washed, gleaming in the sun. And out stepped Derek, tan, relaxed, wearing sunglasses and a cocky smile. He walked up to my door and knocked. That same impatient knock from 3 weeks ago. I opened the door, and there he was. He reeked of alcohol and cologne. "All right, Dorothy. Where are my kids? Hope you didn't ruin them." He tried to walk past me into the house, but I blocked him. "Derek, we need to talk." "About what?" "I don't have time for this. I have things to do." "Kids, let's go." "They're not going anywhere with you." He finally looked at me, really looked at me, and something in my expression must have warned him because his smile faltered. "What's going on?" "What's going on?" I said, stepping aside so he could see into my living room, "is that your lies have caught up with you." He stepped inside and froze. The kids were sitting on the couch with Jennifer. Patricia was standing by the dining table, which was covered in documents. And in the doorway to the kitchen stood a sheriff's deputy in full uniform. Derek's tan face went pale. "What the hell is this?" "This," Patricia said, stepping forward with papers in hand, "is you being served. Divorce papers, emergency custody petition, and a restraining order. You're also being investigated for identity theft, fraud, and forgery." She handed him the papers. He stood there, staring at them like they were written in a foreign language. "This is insane. Jennifer, what is this? What did your mother tell you?" "Great." Jennifer stood up, and I had never been more proud of her in my life. Her voice was steady. "Mom didn't tell me anything I didn't already know, Derek. You've been lying to me for years, cheating on me, stealing from me, and I'm done." "Stealing? I never— You're my wife. What's yours is mine." "Not when you forge her signature to take out credit cards," Patricia interjected. "Not when you use her identity to attempt to refinance the house without her knowledge. That's not marriage. That's fraud." Derek's face turned red. "You can't prove any of that." "Actually," I said, pulling out my laptop, "we can. Bank statements showing purchases you made in Vegas while you told Jennifer you were in Europe. Instagram posts with location tags, credit card applications with forged signatures, verified by a handwriting expert. Messages between you and Becca planning this trip weeks in advance. Should I go on? I turned the laptop around so he could see the screen. It was his own Instagram feed. Every post from the last 3 weeks documented and timestamped. "You had no right to go through my stuff!" "You posted it publicly, Derek. That's not private. That's evidence." He turned to the kids. "Kids, tell them. Tell them I'm a good dad. Tell them you want to come home with me." Emma hid behind Jennifer. Mason looked at the floor. But Lily, my brave Lily, stood up. "No, Dad. You're not a good dad. Good dads don't lie. Good dads don't leave for weeks and not care how their kids are doing. Good dads don't make their kids feel like they're in the way." "Lily, you don't understand. I do this for you. All of this. It's to give you a better life." "Liar," Mason said quietly, but everyone heard it. Derek lunged forward, his face twisted with rage, but the deputy stepped between them. "Sir, I'm going to need you to calm down. You've been served with a restraining order. That means you need to leave this property immediately and maintain a distance of at least 100 yards from your wife and children." "This is bullshit. You can't keep me from my kids." "The court can and the court has," Patricia said calmly. "You'll be granted supervised visitation once you complete anger management and financial counseling. Until then, you don't get to be near them." Derek looked around wildly, like an animal caught in a trap. His eyes landed on me, and the hatred there was palpable. "This is your fault. You poisoned them against me. You bitter old woman. You couldn't stand to see me happy. Could you?" I walked right up to him, close enough that only he could hear me. "You did this to yourself, Derek. Every lie, every betrayal, every moment you chose yourself over your family. I didn't poison anyone. I just turned on the lights so everyone could see what you really are." The deputy took Derek's arm. "Sir, it's time for you to leave." "This isn't over," Derek spat. "I'll fight this. I'll prove you're all lying." "Please do," Patricia said. I look forward to presenting our evidence in court. The deputy escorted Derek out. We watched through the window as he got in his Tesla and peeled out of the driveway, tires squealing. The moment he was gone, Emma started crying. Not sad crying, relief crying. Jennifer sank into the couch and put her face in her hands. Mason and Lily just held each other. I sat down with them, gathering them all close. "It's over," I said. "The hard part is over." "What happens now?" Jennifer asked through her tears. "Now," Patricia said, "we go to court, we present our evidence, and we make sure you and these children are protected." "Will I have to see him?" Emma asked, her voice so small. "Only if you want to," I assured her. "And if you do, it will be supervised. Someone will be there to make sure you're safe." "I don't want to see him," she whispered. "Not for a long time." "Then you don't have to, baby." Over the next few hours, Patricia went over everything with Jennifer. The divorce proceedings, the custody arrangements, the financial fraud investigation. It was overwhelming, but we got through it together. That night, after Patricia left, after the kids were finally asleep, Jennifer and I sat in my kitchen drinking tea. "Mom," she said quietly, "why didn't I see it? How did I let it get this bad?" "Because you loved him. Because you wanted to believe in him. Because gaslighting works, sweetheart. He spent years telling you that your reality wasn't real. That's not your fault. I feel like such an idiot." "You're not an idiot. You're a survivor. And now you're a fighter." She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "When he called you and said you don't do anything anymore, I bet he never imagined this." I laughed bitterly. "No. He thought I was a helpless old woman he could use and dismiss. He thought retirement made me irrelevant." "You're the least irrelevant person I know." Well, Derek's about to learn that lesson the hard way. 2 weeks later, we had our first court hearing. Derek showed up with his mother, who shot daggers at me from across the courtroom. He didn't have a lawyer. He tried to represent himself, which was his first mistake. The judge reviewed the evidence, all of it. The financial records, the Instagram posts, the forged signatures, Lily's notebook documenting his absences. Derek tried to argue that it was all taken out of context, that I had manipulated everyone, that Jennifer was just listening to her controlling mother. The judge was a woman in her 60s. She looked at Derek over her glasses. "Mr. Richardson, I've reviewed the evidence. The forged signatures alone constitute identity theft. The financial records show a clear pattern of fraud, and your social media posts directly contradict your testimony. I'm granting full custody to Mrs. Jennifer Richardson, with supervised visitation for you pending completion of court-ordered counseling." Derek's face went purple. "This is discrimination. You're all ganging up on me because I'm a man." "No, Mr. Richardson. This is called consequences." Court adjourned. Derek stormed out. His mother followed, but not before stopping in front of me. "You destroyed my son's life." "No," I said calmly. "I saved my daughter's. 6 months have passed since that day. 6 months of healing, of therapy, of slowly building a new normal. Jennifer and the kids are still living with me. My little house is crowded, chaotic, full of life. Jennifer's working fewer hours now, spending actual time with her children. She's even started dating someone new, a paramedic from her hospital who treats her like she deserves. The kids are thriving. Lily's grades are the best they've ever been. She wants to be a lawyer more than ever now, so I can help other kids like us," she says. Mason's art is displayed all over my refrigerator. He's taking advanced art classes, and his teacher says he has real talent. Emma volunteers at the animal shelter every weekend, and we're adopting a rescue dog next month. She's already named him Lucky. Derek completed his anger management classes, mostly so he could get visitation rights back. He sees the kids twice a month, supervised by a court-appointed monitor. The kids are polite to him, but distant. They don't trust him anymore, and honestly, I don't think they should. He moved in with his mother after he couldn't afford his own place. The Tesla got repossessed. He's working at a call center now, and he has to pay restitution for the fraud. It'll take him years to pay Jennifer back. His girlfriend, Becca, left him the moment the money dried up. Shocking, I know. As for me, well, I never did make it to Scotland. But you know what? I don't regret it for a second. Because I realized something during these months. Retirement doesn't mean you stop mattering. It doesn't mean you stop being useful. It means you finally have time to matter in the ways that count most. I started a support group for grandparents raising grandchildren. Twice a month, we meet at the community center. There are 12 of us now, all with similar stories, all fighting for our families. I also volunteer as a financial literacy teacher at the local women's shelter, helping women understand their finances so they can't be victimized the way Jennifer was. And every Sunday, my kitchen is full of family. We cook together, we laugh together, we're healing together. Last week was Grandparents' Day at school. All 3 kids asked me to come. Lily read an essay she wrote titled, "My Grandmother, My Hero." I cried through the whole thing. My grandmother taught me that love isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts, she read. It's about showing up. It's about fighting for what's right, even when it's hard. She taught me that being kind doesn't mean being weak, and that standing up for yourself and others is the bravest thing you can do. My grandmother saved our family. She saved me. The audience gave her a standing ovation. Several parents came up to me afterward asking for my story. I gave them Patricia's card. Yesterday, Jennifer came home with news. She got promoted to head nurse in the ER. More money, better hours, actual benefits. She was glowing. "Mom," she said, "I couldn't have done this without you. Any of this." "Yes, you could have," I told her. "You just needed someone to remind you how strong you are. Will you stay mad at Derek forever?" I thought about that question. No, I'm not mad anymore. I'm disappointed. I'm sad for the father he could have been and chose not to be. But anger? That takes too much energy, and I have better things to do with my time. Like what? Emma piped up from the kitchen table where she was doing homework. Like teaching you how to make Grandma's famous apple pie. Like helping your mom plan her future. Like living my life surrounded by people who love me and whom I love back. And bossing us around, Mason added with a grin. That too, I agreed, ruffling his hair. Last night, I was cleaning out my closet and I found those Scotland brochures. The ones that fell on the floor the day Derek called. The day this all started. I looked at them for a long time. Then I threw them away. Because here's what I learned. Sometimes the adventure you're meant to have isn't the one you planned. Sometimes the journey that changes your life happens right in your own home. With your own family. Fighting battles you never expected to fight. Derek thought he could use me because I don't do anything anymore. He thought retirement made me powerless, irrelevant, easy to manipulate. He was wrong. I wasn't doing nothing. I was just waiting. Waiting for the moment when my family needed me most. Waiting for the chance to show that age isn't weakness. It's wisdom. That experience isn't obsolescence. It's ammunition. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But this wasn't revenge. This was justice. This was protection. This was a grandmother saying enough and meaning it. And if I could go back to that day, to that phone call, would I do anything differently? Not a single thing. Because that phone call, as infuriating as it was, gave me the greatest gift. It gave me my family back. It gave me purpose. It reminded me that I'm not done yet, not by a long shot. So to anyone watching this who's been told they're too old, too irrelevant, too past their prime to matter, let me tell you something. They're wrong. Your experience is valuable. Your wisdom is powerful. Your love is unstoppable. And to anyone being manipulated, gaslit, or controlled by someone who's supposed to love you, please hear this. You deserve better. Your children deserve better. And it's never too late to walk away from toxicity and toward peace. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that it's never too late to stand up for what's right, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling me where you're watching from, and if you've ever had to be the warrior your family needed, because together, we're creating a community of fighters, of protectors, of people who refuse to be dismissed or diminished. Derek thought he could diminish me with 5 words. You don't do anything anymore. Instead, those 5 words ignited something he couldn't control. They reminded me of exactly who I am and what I'm capable of. I'm Dorothy Richardson. I'm 65 years old. I'm a retired accountant, a widow, a mother, and a grandmother. And I don't do nothing. I do everything that matters. Thank you for listening to my story. Remember, respect isn't begged for. It's commanded. And when someone tries to take advantage of your kindness, show them exactly what strength looks like. This is Dorothy Richardson, reminding you that the most dangerous thing in the world is a grandmother with time, resources, and a mission to protect her family. Never forget that. And Derek? Well, Derek learned that lesson the hard way.